So sitting next to you, or sitting behind you or front, so sitting next to you, you might be sitting next to a black devil.
It states in Psalms chapter 82, verse 6, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
This is the Elder Raziel with a message for the children of the Elohim. I walked a long journey on the short path. Grafted this non-mind, this mind expands math itself. Came through with the master teacher. Get wealth from what I have to teach you. Not a preacher, the Anunnaki created this creature, fully packed with features. Nuwabu knocking off leeches. Peace to Malachi, Ziyor, Noble to Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Respect and pay homage from the Aniyunwia tribe. We hope to see you. We still kicking the flows. All the girls know. Just list the show so your mind grows toward a genetic explosion. X out whoever was chosen by deception. The sell-out Negro, the greatest destruction. Without question, knowledge is a weapon. Like Cain, ain't no half-stepping to a greater direction. Your host, Mudhuta Herukayu for Right Knowledge Radio. Today's show is going to be about the fake Cherokee Nation. You know, you always see the Cherokee Nation. They look Caucasians. I mean, they have a couple Asians in there, but they're not the original people either, right? We know that the Moorish tribes of Turtle Island were the original people. So who are these people? Are they Caucasians? Are they Irish? Are they pretenders? I conclude that they're pretenders. They're $5 Indians, which you would call a $5 Indian. Now the Nuwabic date is year 82, the month of Shu, which is the fourth month, the fourth week, Laka, and the first day of the fourth week, which we call Tashu Anu. All right, so glad everybody could join us today. I got Facebook Live streaming from my office, from our home office here in Arizona. And I really want to jump into what this brother, Chief KALINGO, I see him on Facebook, but his channel is called American Original Son. So you guys should check that out. He actually got some good information now. In this particular episode, what I want to kind of iterate and reiterate, right? Hatu Hadeh Nahub, that is peace and love and care, right? In Nuwabic. Where we want to go in this video is who is the Cherokee Nation, right? Well, I can tell you first that Cherokee is a French word. So no original people would take on a foreign moniker to name their tribe. That's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. It's kind of like taking on black and colored and Negro. It's ridiculous. Why are you taking on labels, right? Or names, foreign names that don't even derive from your own language. So let's let Chief. He kind of gives a little introduction or prelude before he goes into his phone call in which he has with the Cherokee Nation. All right. So let's play this a little bit.
And I'm not talking about just listen. I want you to hear the conversation because there's a difference between listening and hearing. You see, listening is physical, okay, but hearing is spiritual. So I want you to hear the conversation. Hear it. Let it resonate with your spirit and your soul, okay? And then you'll peep the game, all right? So the conversation that follows is exactly what transpired or what took place, okay? Once the video is done, then I will give my conclusion, all right? Peace.
Thank you for calling Cherokee Nation. If you know your party's extension, please enter it now. If you would like to dial by name, press the pound key. If you wish to speak to our receptionist during normal business hours, press 0 now or continue to wait while I transfer your call. Please hold for the next available operator. Lado. Cherokee Nation, may I help you?
Yes, good day. How you doing? Good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful day. Just have a couple of questions, to put on my records, or in my record rather. I know you guys a Cherokee Nation located in Oklahoma, correct?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay, and what is the name of your chief?
Bill John Baker.
Bill John Baker. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I'm also Cherokee as well. So a quick question. Do you guys have any Cherokee?
He's calling in and saying, I'm trying to gather some facts, because we're trying to he's trying to do the research, and I'm trying to do the research on this fake Cherokee Nation. Now the difference with me is I don't have a problem with them forming a fake nation. I like it when the Caucasoid tells on himself, especially the evil ones. The evil Caucasoid tells on himself. That's good for us, because once we look back and see genetically who these people are, we're like, oh, you're a Caucasoid pretending to be an original, and you can't even prove it. You can't prove it. The DAWES, you'll find out. Keep watching, keep listening to the show. He's gonna get into it where they transfer him to a couple people, right? And then the last guy, the last person he talks to is a Caucasoid man. You can tell by his voice. He's a Caucasoid man, and he gets a little agitated by what Kalinago is asking him, and then he says, "Oh," they start saying, because Kalinago makes the claim that dark-skinned people were the original Aniyunwia, and then the Caucasoid fake Cherokee says, "Oh no, that I get the Afrocentric point of view." He said, "I never said I was an African. What Afrocentric?" So they've been trained to use disclaimers against the original people who are claiming to be Aniyunwia. Now we need to stop saying Cherokee, because that's what makes this nation fake, and that's how you can get all these Caucasoids in there, because the United States is dictating who's a Aniyunwia or Cherokee. They're saying who's a Cherokee. I'm not Cherokee. I'm Aniyunwia. We need to teach our people to learn how to say the original names from the original languages. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let Chief Kalinago continue talking here.
Members that are of the dark skin, dark browns, the so-called black, so-called African American members.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm going to transfer to registration, okay?
Say that again?
I'm going to transfer you registration.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Cherokee Nation registration may help you.
Yes, good day. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. They just actually transferred me to you, and I have a couple of questions. Just some questions for my record. I'm also Cherokee, but I wanted to ask, do you guys have any dark skinned so-called black, so-called African American members?
Well, I mean, we have the freedmen. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm just talking about because a lot of so-called black people, we are Cherokee, so I just wanted to know.
Mixed blood? Is that what you're talking about?
Say that again?
Mixed blood? Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
not mixed blood. I'm Cherokee. I'm not mixed, if anything. I'm just asking, do you have any members that's so-called black?
I don't understand your question, I guess.
Okay. Do you know what? Okay, so you have an idea of what they call black people right here in the United States, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so do you have any members that are so-called black, but they're Cherokee?
Well, I still don't understand. I mean, you can't be black and you can't be, you got to be full blood.
I can't hear you. Say that again.
I don't.
She has certain training on how to deal with this question, right? So he says, Chief Kalinago says, "Hey, do you guys have any so-called black people, because I mean they've distorted the image so much. We got to say so-called black people or heavily melanated people in your tribe. He says dark skin. I don't like the word dark because it's negative, so I say heavily melanated people. And she's like, "Oh, you mean mixed blood?" And see, this is the misnomer that is going on within our psyche, right? Even black people, even my family says, "Oh, we got Indian in us." Everybody, grandparents who are so-called black, you're really a Moor by race, but says that, "Oh, we got some Indian in us." What does that mean? What does that mean? In black, I wouldn't even use the term black. I would say Moor, because Moor brings you inside the human family. Those Caucasoids know what a Moor is. They know because we the ones that taught them all over this planet, right? So they know what that is. And if they don't know, it's a chance for them to ask a question, what is a Moor? And then you educate them on what a Moor is. What you're calling black really are Moors. Because black, there's no nation called black. There's no language called black. There's no culture called black. Right? So anyway, I don't want to get too much off on a tangent here. But what I'm saying is that when he's asking her questions, oh, you mean mixed blood? 'Cause there's no such thing as black blood. That does not Negro blood. That doesn't exist. What does exist is Aniyunwia blood of the original, right? Who were melanated people, some with straight, some with very curly hair. When the Spaniards saw us, they called us Morenos, Ethiopia, right? Because we look like people from Ethiopia. Now, the woman technically is correct. Are you mixed with Indian? Right? Because she said black, and then she kind of stopped in the middle of her sentence. She's all, well, you can't be black and Indian, which is true. You cannot be black and Indian. You have to be one or the other. You can't say, oh, we got some Indian in us. No, 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 no. Because black means slavery. Negro means slavery. It's a slave label. So, yes, you cannot be black and be an Indian. She is correct, y'all. You cannot be black and be an Indian. Impossible. It's impossible. You can't do it. So drop the black crap, right? And say you're an Aniyunwia or, you got Blackfoot, Yamasee, Chata, Pecoy. Even Pecoy is French. That's not even the name of the tribe. I don't even know the name of the tribe, right? The Massachusetts, that whole state is named after a tribe. You know what I'm saying? Now you got a lot of Caucasoids out there. You got Caucasoid chiefs out there. So that automatically eliminates that tribe from being legit in the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. There are no Caucasoid tribal chiefs in Turtle Island. None. They don't exist. Okay, now let's continue this conversation that the Aniyunwia brother, Chief KALINGO, is having with the Caucasoid fake Cherokee Nation. All right.
I don't understand I'm still not really understanding your question.
Okay,
very well.
all right. So how do I qualify to be a member of the Cherokee Nation?
You're saying you're Cherokee, but
Yeah.
you're black.
Yeah. Well, I'm people consider me to be black, but I don't call myself black because I don't look black. Black is black. It's a color. I'm not a color. So,
What do you mean?
I'm brown. I'm brown of copper tone. I'm not black.
Okay, but that doesn't. You still have to prove what your race or your ethnicity is by your. We use what is called the DAWES roll.
Okay.
And the DAWES roll was established by the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
and that was taken between 1899 and 1906 in what is now northeastern Oklahoma.
Okay.
And that was taken for the people who came over on the Trail of Tears.
Okay.
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 And they were able to sign that if they met the eligibility requirements back then.
Okay.
So if they were here and they met those eligibility requirements, they could sign up on there and get a roll number. Now, if we can trace a lineal ancestor back to a lineal ancestor back to the Dawes roll, then you would be eligible to apply with the Cherokee Nation.
Okay, and when was that?
Or one of the other 5 civilized tribes or whatever that might have come over on the Trail of Tears.
Oh, okay, I get that. So when was that Dawes Rose taken again? In 18 what?
1899 through
1899.
1906.
Okay. So I could trace my family here in the Americas way before 1806, but
we don't need to go back that far. I said 1899 to 1906.
So what happened
We're talking about 7 years.
Okay, so what happened?
We're looking at a 7-year time window. Your ancestor would have had to sign up on the Dawes roll. Correct.
Okay, and you said so your chief is I think 132 Cherokee, right? Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So
possibly.
That's what it says, because I've done some research, because I've been trying to connect back to my roots, right?
Okay.
So if your chief is 132 Indian, then what is the other 32? Because if he's only 1%,
we don't have a blood quantum cutoff. We don't have a blood quantum. It all goes back to if you can prove if you had a family, a lineal ancestor that signed the Dawes roll. That's what we use.
Okay. You heard what she said. It doesn't even matter how far you go back in your lineage as someone from the Aniyunwia tribe. It just matters what's on the Dawes roll. But who set up the Dawes roll? It was the American government, a foreign government. So how is a foreign government going to give legitimacy to those who were there hundreds of thousands of years before they were? It doesn't make sense. So now this fake government is basically a child of the United States. The United States created this nation, but they created it wrong, right? They tried to do what we did, but they did it wrong. That's what Big L said. Peace to Big L, rest in peace. But they tried to do what we did, just like Freemasonry and all this stuff, but they didn't do it right, right? They messed up. They misconstrued things. They made something positive into something negative, and all these kind of satanic rituals, right? So what I'm saying is, does your creator, your Allah, does that being go by what's on man's paper? Can a Dawes roll really give legitimacy to a nation? Hell no. Hell no, it can't. So my question is to so-called black people, why are you begging to be in this nation? Because if you get in, you're still going to face discrimination. They hate the original people there, right? And you're going to hear how prejudiced they are on the next phone call with the Caucasoid man, right? With this devil. You're going to hear him and his attitude toward darker skinned people or heavily melanated people. You know what I'm saying? I want all y'all to listen to this because it's important. Those who know that their family traces back to this land that they live right now, and not trying to run to Africa on some Pan-African stuff that don't even make sense, because most Pan-Africanists don't even live in Africa. They want to stay in America. Because they know deep down in their heart they're from Turtle Island, and their mama and their grandmama, great-grandmama done told them so. So, you hear what the lady's saying. The lady's saying it doesn't even matter if you have no Indian blood at all. as long as you're on that Dawes roll, which only was 7 years, do you really think everybody, Cherokee or the Algonquin speaking families can sign up for something in 7 years? It would take generations. So that's not even legit. This is part of the devil's law. I keep telling people, stop begging these Caucasoids for salvation, no matter if they call themselves English, Irish, or Cherokee. Cherokee is just another Caucasoid nation that they came up with, which they can create their own nation. I don't have a problem with that. But when they start claiming that they're the original people, they just can't prove it. The history books don't show it. Now this Cherokee thing, that got a different history than Aniyunwia, right? So anyway, let me get this right. Let's continue to play the video.
Okay,
If
so
you can prove that.
so essentially, even if I'm full-blooded Indian, because I'm a full-blood Indian, all right. So even if I'm full-blooded Indian, because I wasn't on the Dawes rolls, or my family wasn't on the Dawes rolls, that means I cannot be part of one of the 5 tribes, correct?
Well, if they use the Dawes roll,
No,
the
we
5
didn't.
civilized tribes
Yeah.
use the Dawes roll.
Okay.
Okay. Now other tribes use different things as far as their eligibility goes.
Okay.
Guidelines go. But we happen to use the Dawes roll. Yes.
Oh wow. To me, that's a little bit. I mean, I know it's nothing that you could do about it, but it's a little bit unfortunate because, again, my ancestors have always
Well,
been in
that's
the.
what happened
Yeah.
in the history. That's what happened way back then, and there's nothing we can do about it now. You know,
Okay.
that's what happened back then, and that's what, they had the freedom to choose if they wanted to sign those rolls back then. Some people did, and some people did not, but they weren't forced to sign them. They could choose to go on their way and not be a part of the Cherokee Nation, and they could do what, live and be where they wanted to be.
Okay, so that's an interesting point, right? That's a very interesting point. She's saying that some people who were around in 1899 or whatever, some of them chose not to sign the Dawes rolls, right? They chose, hey, we don't want to sign the Dawes rolls. We don't want to be part of, which would be correct. It would be correct because it's kind of like saying, well, we scattered you guys. We beat you in war, right? In most of the wars. Here's a concession, right? And then you had a lot of poor Caucasoids, right, who weren't doing nothing. They came here as immigrants, right? And they weren't making it. They were not making it. So they saw it as an opportunity to sign the Dawes roll. They paid the guy, I guess the commissioner of the Dawes rolls, they paid him $5. Commissioner turned his head and said, look, you can join the nation. No blood at all. It's right there, that invalidates the whole nation to me. Because I live by natural nature and the rules of the universe and by Allah Anu, right? I don't want anything to do with this fake Cherokee Nation. I don't. I will never call them. It don't matter to me. I'm part of the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors, where we do recognize Shoshone, Washita, Yamasee, Aniyunwia, and I already said Washita. The 5th tribe always escapes me. And hold on, I got the book right here because I don't want to leave out any of the tribes that we represent. So give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. All right. So God, where can I find this in here? Indigenous peoples. Okay. Which one? Oh, Creek. Oh, and Seminole. It's really, Creek was really a confederation of tribes. So Seminole, which actually came from Yamasee, right? So when you say, oh, let me show the people on Facebook the picture of the United Nuwabian Nation Awards Constitution, created June 26, 1992. All right. So anyway, I know I'm going on these rants and narration of and commentary of what's going on here, but I think it's very important I give my input because we should not be going to fake Cherokee nations to basically Caucasoids pretending to be. I mean, they could be whatever they want to be. You have the right to be anything you want to be, but their ancestral roots go back to Europe, right? And it's not from here. And I don't know how the Asians feel in their tribe. The Asians aren't really gonna fight the Caucasoid that much. I've seen kind of like because we fought these Asians when they came over here, right? If you read Ivan Van Sertima's book, They Came Before Columbus, you'll see that when the Asians came over here, we fought them. Some of the Asians didn't want to mix, some mixed, right? That's why you see some Asians that are very heavily melanated because they mixed in with us. They didn't mind mixing in with us. Now, some of the other Asians that came over here, and they didn't come over here to know Bering Strait. That's a theory. Those people knew how to build boats, right? Because the Caucasoid likes to paint this fake picture that, oh no, ancient peoples didn't know how to build boats. Well, that theory was debunked. See, they got a whole bunch of theories about who you are, but nothing concrete, nothing factual or true. So anyway, let's keep going here.
Okay. All right. That's true. I get that from your perspective, but and again, I just need clarification. So I really appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to share some of that information to me. So my next question is are you aware or do you know that the Aboriginal people of all the Americas were dark-skinned people?
Can I transfer you to someone else that knows a lot more about this than I do?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I just answer the phone. Just a moment.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Registration. This is David. How can I help you?
Good. Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, cool. So you're the third person I've been transferred to. So I'm just trying to get some clarification, for my for to put on the record. I'm Cherokee by blood pedigree. And I was asking, how.
Okay, now this is the conversation I want everybody to listen to. This is their attitude toward melanated Moors that are indigenous to Turtle Island. Don't matter what tribe you're from. It don't even matter if you're Cherokee or Aniyunwia, Blackfoot, Choctaw, none of those, Pequot, Massachusetts, all that. They don't care. If you are melanated, they don't like you. They're not gonna really listen to your argument or even look into it because they're good. They're getting basically welfare. They're Caucasoid welfare babies as a nation. The nation, that nation only exists to get money from the United States. That's the only reason it's a fake nation. It should be destroyed. I'm gonna say right now that nation should be destroyed. And don't worry about joining this fake nation. You guys need to recreate your tribes in your image. I'm against Negroes. I'm going to say Negroes because in your heart, you haven't accepted the fact that you are indigenous to this land, which is a slap in the face to your forefathers, right? Even this phone call, I would never make this phone call because I don't need validation from a Caucasoid for who I am, for who my grandmama told me we were. My grandfather, on both sides of my family. And my mom also used to say that we're Chata, but I usually roll with the Aniyunwia. So you do not need outside validation for who you are. right? But this phone call is still interesting because it proves a point on how the devil operates and how he thinks. Now, when he talks to this Caucasoid here, the Caucasoid is gonna be like, "We're good." I think deep down in his heart, he knows he's not the original people, but he's on that DAWES roll. So that fake nation, the Caucasoid Cherokee nation, will accept him, right? And now he's good. They get money now for being fake. You know, kind of like Hollywood. You know, you get a script and you act it out, but when it comes time to showing that blood, they can't do that. 1/32. What is that? 1/32 blood Indian, and you're the chief of the tribe. Come on, man. And their chiefs go to Europe all the time because that's where they're really from, right? They go to Europe because they're really from Europe. So this is interesting. So please listen to this. Listen intently to what's going on here.
How do you become a part of the Cherokee Nation? So, is there any way you could give me some information on that?
Sure. The process for enrollment with the Cherokee Nation requires an ancestor on the Dawes Commission roll, and that roll was made in 1902 in Indian Territory, now Oklahoma.
Okay.
And if you don't have an ancestor on that roll, regardless of how much Indian blood you may have, you are not eligible to enroll.
Okay.
Okay, again, he said, oh my bad. He said the Dawes roll was made in 1902. He also said no matter how much Indian blood you have in you, if you are not on that roll, you are not eligible to join the fake Caucasoid Cherokee Nation. You heard that. Now, in the arena of public opinion, do y'all think that's correct? I know I don't. I don't think that's correct at all. I think that's the way the devil operates. Right? That they're trying to be something that they're not. And then they have this is kind of true. I'm gonna agree with the Caucasoids on this one. On the internet, you'll see that these Caucasoids say that, oh, black people trying to claim that they're indigenous. Black people don't know who they are. And you know what? They're right. Black people don't know who the hell they are. They think they're from Africa. They think they're from here. They think that they're screwed. I'm not even going to say our people are screwed up because I really don't. I'm not black, so I don't. And I'll go over my history of self-discovery. You know what I'm saying? That I use my family for self-discovery. So that's just one fact I wanted to point out. What this guy just said, this Caucasoid man, he said, no matter how much Indian blood you have in you, if you are not on that DAWES roll, and we all know that Caucasoid signed up for that DAWES roll to get benefits as $5 Indians, that whole process is not legit. By nature, that process is not legit. But you have to understand we're dealing with very unnatural beings that were created recently. So they don't know how to write laws yet. You know what I mean? They don't know how to write laws. So anyway, let's continue with this.
Yes. All right. All right. So I mean, what you just told me is straightforward. So I guess my next question, it kind of makes it a little bit obscure because my family they didn't participate in the DAWES rolls. However, we have been in America from time immemorial. We've always been here. So that means I wouldn't be able to even submit an application and be accepted, correct? Because it's not done through blood. It's done through, so it's done through an organization and not through blood, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, our tribe is, and we have a constitution that we adopted in 1976 and then amended in 2003. And in that constitution, the Cherokee people who were organized at that time chose the DAWES roll as the sole source of proof for our organization.
Oh, okay. So with that being said, is it safe to say that
even if someone wasn't, wasn't an Indian by blood, okay, meaning that their ancestors have always been in the America, as long as they were able to get on that Dawes Road, they are still considered Indian.
Well, they're considered a citizen.
Or they considered a citizen.
Right. The
Okay.
relationship between the United States and the Cherokee Nation is not based on blood.
Oh,
It's based on treaties.
okay.
So if someone's ancestors were members of the tribe at one time,
Mm.
but for whatever reasons they may have chosen to leave the tribe or forced out of the tribe or abandon the tribe, there's lots of scenarios. The tribe itself would have continued on.
Oh, okay.
And so the relationship between the United States and the Cherokee people is carried out through our government.
Oh,
And so we do have people in our tribe who are not Indians.
okay.
We just got through with an extremely contentious legal battle with the descendants of our slaves.
Okay.
And so they won a federal lawsuit and are now enrolling as members of the tribe, even though some of them have Indian blood, some of them don't. We don't care one way or the other.
Okay.
What we care about is, are their ancestors on the roll that the core population chose in 1976?
Okay.
And that they are.
Okay.
And, we have people on our roll that are on there by fraud. We have, I found probably, I'd say about 5 or 6 families that their ancestors either bribed officials or, whatever the process was.
Okay.
But they got on the roll.
Okay.
And then stayed on the roll for all these years. And so by virtue of our choice to make the Dawes roll the sole source, they're in.
Okay.
One of those descendants is sitting right now on our tribal court.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
Drives me nuts every time I see him. But
Yeah, I feel you.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So my next question would be, I'm actually, if someone were to see me in the streets without my, my indigenous attire, because I wear my feathers and my regalia, every single day. Now, if I were to walk in the streets without that, somebody would assume I'm black because of my complexion. So you know where I'm going with this. Do you have any people who fit that description that's actually part of your nation?
Yes. We have, as I mentioned, the descendants of our slaves. They are now members of the tribe.
Oh, and they're descendants of slaves.
Right. They are descendants of slaves. Now, some of them do have Indian blood because the slave masters, creeping in the slave house and producing children.
Right.
But those children were not recognized by any legal marriage.
Okay.
And so their descendants are not enrolled as Indians. They are enrolled as freedmen.
Oh, okay. And
let me chime in on that. Because, again, he says that, Chief Kalinago is speaking about, that people who look like me, melanated people, are indigenous. Now, the guy's response doesn't really surprise me because they're trying to protect something. They're trying to protect that welfare that they get from the United States. Which I don't really understand his argument because their nation is not based on blood. Therefore, it's fake. Every tribe is based on blood. Every tribe, every legitimate, real tribe under the sun is based on blood. If you want to adopt people into your tribe, that's cool, but it can't be through a Dawes roll. That's stupid. So what's happening here, his response is more like, if you're dark, you're a slave. That's basically what if you're dark, you're a slave, which is a very prejudiced and racist point of view. So that lets you know they're definitely Caucasoids, because only Caucasoids really think like that on both sides of the ocean. Only really demented Caucasoids really think like that. And if you listen to him talk, he sound like he's straight from Simi Valley, California, guys. Hey, guys. I'm a white guy, guys, and I'm an Indian now. Yay! So it's hard for me to take these people serious, man. And it's funny on their side. It's funny for what they're trying to claim, and then on our side, I guess so-called black people, it's very sad that you're going up to Caucasians. It's like you go up to white Jesus and you beg for your salvation. So that's kind of embarrassing when you're saying you had to go to the federal government to sue the chair, and that lets you know that the U.S. federal government's in full control of this fake Cherokee nation. They created that nation, so they control it, which is good. I need the United States to control these fake Caucasoids, keep them in line, because the people in the government know that these people aren't real, but until they choose to cancel that treaty, it's never really brought up. So the treaty keeps going on and on and on. So, but that's okay. That everything that's going on here it's fine. To me, it's fine because we should not be going to Caucasoids, whatever nation that they form, going to them for salvation and begging for benefits, especially if you call yourself a slave, a freedman. I don't even, no, man. I don't respect that. I'm sorry, so-called slaves, so-called black. I don't respect that because, again, you're begging the Caucasoid to grant you salvation, and it's just not correct. And all tribes are based on blood. I don't know. I don't know what this is. I really don't know what this Cherokee stuff is. But anyway, listen to how the racist rhetoric comes out of this guy's mouth, right? Listen. Okay, now let's get started here.
And that's perfect. Great information, which brings me to my next question. Because I've done a little research again. I'm connecting back to my tribe, and I'm a full-blooded Indian by blood, right? What that means is, are you aware that in the Americas, all over the Americas, I mean, we know that the United States was established on the American continent in 1776, correct?
Well, yes.
Okay. So before 1776, there was no such thing as the United States. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, beautiful. So before that, even before the 13 colonies and all that, even before the so-called transatlantic slave trade, are you aware that all the people on the American continent were dark-skinned?
Well, I know where you're going with that, and that's the Afrocentrism argument, and we don't subscribe to that.
Well, it's not a matter of subscription. It's a matter of, do you know that it's a fact that the Aborigines of this land were dark-skinned? So therefore, if all the Aborigines of this land, and it's scientifically proven that they were dark-skinned, how is that other people get to claim to be Indians, and then we can't because we didn't take part in the Dawes Rolls?
Well, the Dawes Roll was selected by the Cherokee people, who were the people who owned the Cherokee Nation.
Oh, okay,
we are the Cherokee Nation. And
okay, so is the same thing. So all right. So what is the original name for Cherokee?
You mean in our language?
No, it was Aniyunwia, right?
Well, that's the word for principal people.
Yeah, the principal people. So what I'm saying is Aniyunwia was changed to Cherokee. Is there a reason why you guys don't use Aniyunwia and now use Cherokee?
We do use that word among ourselves.
Okay.
In our relationship with the United States, the United States knows us as Cherokee, and so that's what the treaties say. So okay. we go by what the treaties say when we're in dealing with them. Oh, okay. So the United States pretty much decided to say, okay, you know what, we're not going to use Aniyunwia, let's just create something new, and then we created Cherokee. In essence. Well, that word has also a Cherokee origin, but it's the word Cherokee is an anglicized version of the Cherokee word Ajilaki, which means people of fire. Right. And so, we don't mind being called Cherokees. We've been called that for 500 years, so we don't have a problem with that.
Okay. And before I conclude, so again, I've done some research and I realized that I mean, no disrespect, and I'm here again just to get information. So I'm not going to disrespect your culture because I think everyone needs to be respected either way. So I'm going to respect that. However, I've done some research and I realized that your chief is John Bill something, right?
Bill John Baker.
Baker, yeah. So I realized, I found out that he has 132 Cherokee.
He's actually 332nds, but that's
Okay,
neither here nor there. He's still
332nd.
pretty much a white man.
Yeah, and I did a lot of research and realized that his ancestors is actually from Ireland and German and everything, but yet still he gets to be a Cherokee. And so how is that even possible?
Well, it's possible because his ancestors were citizens of the Cherokee Nation.
Oh.
Citizenship does not divide.
Oh,
It is
okay.
passed 100% from parent to child.
He's saying that Bill John Baker is the head of the Cherokee Nation, right? Excuse me. Now the guy even said he's pretty much a Caucasoid, right? He's pretty much a Caucasoid. Kalinago says, well, how is it possible that he's able to be a citizen and be the chief of the nation because his parents signed up for the DAWES rolls, right? And like I said, they let anybody sign up. And going back to the Cherokee Nation around 1900, the original people, probably most of the original Aniyunwia were gone already. They probably joined other bands, other tribes, other clans and tribes. They were gone, or most of them just became Negro, black, and colored, because they're just trying to survive and fit in, and they lost all of their culture. And so these scavengers came and picked it up and formed what they called the Cherokee Nation. So even by the time 1900, that's too late. There's nothing legitimate about that. There's nothing legitimate about that. So again, Kalinago is asking good questions, but why waste your time with these people at all? That's my side of it. That's coming from my perspective. Mudhuta, this is coming from my perspective. I don't really see any legitimacy in asking these people or even getting into arguments with them. I really don't. I don't really see the advantage of it. But one thing that is important from this is that you get to hear these people's perspective. So let's keep going here.
Mm-hmm.
And so his ancestors, who actually were Indians, I'm related to him distantly,
Mm-hmm.
but his ancestors were Cherokee Indians at the
Mm-hmm.
time of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
His ancestors were citizens of the Cherokee Nation at the time of the first making of the treaty of 1783,
Mm-hmm.
and so they've been citizens of the Cherokee Nation ever since. So we don't base anything on blood quantum.
Oh, yeah,
We
okay,
base it on whether your ancestors were citizens of the nation.
Because the research that I did, it shows that he's not Cherokee he's not even an Indian by blood, period.
Well, he is.
Yeah,
he is an Indian by blood.
But so if he is an Indian by blood, that's what I'm saying is then he's supposed to be a so-called dark man because, again, the dark-skinned people were the original Indians. So, again, where did he get to be an Indian by blood if he's not dark-skinned?
His ancestors intermarried with white people. That's,
but he looks Caucasian to me, though. That's what I'm saying. When you say white, do you mean that white in the sense of
white European?
Oh, because they're different so-called looking white people. So again, that kind of like it's kind of like a word play. You know what I mean? It's semantics. You know what I mean? Because again, he looks white, but he may not be white European or Anglo-Saxon, but he's a white man.
I would say so.
Exactly.
I mean, if I saw him walking down the street, I would say, there goes a white man.
There you go.
However,
so that's what I'm saying.
However, our tribe is not necessarily made up of just brown or dark-skinned people.
Okay.
The Cherokee Nation is made up of citizens.
Yeah, and I get that. I totally get that, and I respect that. So again, so I guess all the Aboriginals, because would you guys consider yourself Aborigines?
I would consider us to be Aboriginals, and our government is an Aboriginal government.
Okay, so again, and once again, I mean, and it's not even Afrocentric, because do you believe that, first of all, do you believe that life originated in Africa?
Life or
life,
or
period.
human
All
life?
human life.
No.
You don't believe that?
No, I do not.
Okay, it's great, perfect. So if life didn't originate in Africa, how is it assumed that all dark-skinned people are from Africa? I mean, when the sun shines all over the world and the equator actually runs between, you know, the continent of Africa and the Americas, and everybody in South America was dark-skinned. So how is it assumed that every dark-skinned person is African?
I don't assume that.
No, I'm not saying you, but I'm talking about in terms of, you know, because you said, when I mentioned that all the dark-skinned people in the Americas were dark-skinned, you said that's Pan-Africanism. But again, we are again agreeing that life didn't originate in Africa and all dark-skinned people are not African. So what happened to all the dark-skinned people that were actually on the American continent from time immemorial? Why is that? Because we didn't sign the Dawes Rules. I know you say it's a governmental thing. So what do we do from there? Do we petition so that that could be changed, or it is just something that's ironclad? You had to have been on the Dawes Rules, whether you are an Aborigine or not, because like I said, it's scientifically proven that all the dark-skinned people were actually in the Americas before any light-skinned, pale, anybody, and the first people on the planet, to be quite frank, were dark-skinned. So that means everybody came from the womb of the dark-skinned woman, and that's scientifically proven. Isn't that a fact?
Well, I'm not really sure where you're trying to go with that.
That is not scientifically proven, that, because he's trying to say all Caucasians came from Moors, and that's not true. That's not true. It's not true because we look so different. We operate so different. Our blood types are different. We think different. We walk different. You know, genetically we're different. So no, that's false. All pale people, unless they're albinos, right, did not come from Moorish peoples. That's some type of fallacy, and it's unproven. It's a theory. Now that's a theory. Again, theories are not facts. Just like the theory of out of Africa, every dark that's dead in the water. It's a theory. However, they have their own creator, right? They have their own creator. Got to think outside the planet Earth, right? We're not going to get into all that because that's a very deep subject. Excuse me. However, you know, when it comes to talking about their creator, stop saying that they came from us. It's not true. It's not true. All right. So I just wanted to put that in there.
No, what I'm asking
I'm not going to agree or disagree with you. I just know that my ancestors, which are Cherokee Indians, have been on this continent for thousands of years. And that my ancestors are not Africans. My ancestors are American Indians. And the people who are claiming that they are American Indians that are actually black, we don't buy into that. That's just not who we are.
Well, I mean, I know that's not who you are, because once again, I mean, of course, I mean, if people come into a land and they met people there and they happen to settle in, because remember you said your ancestors came, right? So they've been here for thousands of years, but before they came, there were people here. So you see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this?
Well, I see what you're trying to say.
No, not what I'm trying to say. I mean, I'm saying that I have the facts that, you know, the people who actually call themselves natives right now, they haven't been here for thousands of years. So, you know, and I know it's a he or say you think it is, but we have the scientific and we have the legal documents and historical documents to solidify and prove that fact. So, you know, I get that you are saying that, you know, to be part of the nation, it doesn't deal with blood quantum. It just strictly deals with citizenship. So again, anybody could just say, okay, you know what? Let us just form an organization and let us just deal with the United States, and we could be considered native. You know, but yet still, the people who will have been here again for millions of years because my ancestors have been here for, I mean, I'm talking about, man, I can't even go back and pinpoint a time when my ancestors were not. You know what I mean? So at some point, you
well,
guys.
That's because that's what you want to believe.
No, that's not what I want to believe.
I
but
think
you see,
the sad
what
thing
I'm saying
about that is.
So what I'm saying is this, right?
You've talked for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah.
So let
go
me
ahead.
tell you what I think.
What you think?
What I think
okay,
is that
so
African American people
mm-hmm.
have a personal opinion.
Okay.
I think a lot of African American people in this country have a lot of self-hatred, and so you guys want to be us because you don't want to be you. And so we can't change who you are, and you can't change who we are.
You heard that. You heard that, right? He said African American people. See, he don't even know what to call us. He's not talking about me because I'm not an African American. I'm not from Africa. So this Caucasoid from Europe, who's a wannabe, I don't know what the hell this thing is. I don't, because if it's not by blood, it's not legitimate. So KALINGO's right. They created an organization and made up their own history, which is not based on science. Science means to know, to do the knowledge to know. So it doesn't sound like the Caucasoid really knows where he's from. He's just saying thousands of years. Well, thousands of years is a short time period. For us as a race of people, that's very short. That couple thousand years, that's not a long time. But for Caucasoids, it is a long time because they haven't been here that long. For us, 1,000 years, that's like a blink of an eye. That's nothing, right? But for this Caucasoid, it is. So he feels like he has this strong claim. He said thousands of years ago. Now, I would like to see what he looks like. Because I could just look at him and say, oh, okay, well, your claims are not legitimate because you're Caucasian. From 1 second, I could just look at him like, oh, okay, you're from Europe. Or you're from the Caucasoid Mountains. That's where you go back to. But I guarantee you, he's a Caucasoid, right? That's why the Afro, he says Afrocentric point of view. Well, he's not talking to an African. So or an African American. See, they throw labels just like the racist Caucasoid does. So that automatically kind of puts him in the same like mind brainwave as thinking as a racist Caucasoid. So I put him in that category because that's the way he's talking. Now, if he would have said, interesting. If he would have said, interesting, I have to look into that. I would have gave him more credibility. I can't give him any credibility right now because he's coming with this assumption. And black people and African Americans do have a lot of self-hatred. However, having self-hatred does not give the Caucasoid credibility to dismiss these people. That's not a he feels like it's a justification to write these people off. Well, for me, it's a justification to write this whole fake French Cherokee nation off, right? And I wonder why people who look like me, who may call themselves black or African American or colored, whatever Caucasoid label you would like to use today, to try to have some type of identity, which these are not identities. These are slave labels. So the Cherokee Nation is trying to protect their Caucasoid members, obviously, right? And any claim by a melanated person, any claim by a melanated person is written off as Afrocentric. They're taking the same same point of view as a racist Caucasoid who just doesn't want to look at the facts. I know, people in the HTM of the United Nuwabian Nation of Ours, we do a factology. We don't deal with Caucasoids trying to call us names and dismiss us. Like, cool, you go to your nation, we go back to ours. I don't care. We can trace our blood back. You can't. Or our ancestors came thousands. Who is this? And they raped indigenous women and tried to say that the son was part of that tribe. We don't accept that. That not at the United Nuwabian Nation of Mars. We don't accept that. If an indigenous melanated woman had a baby because she was raped, that child is not legitimate. That is a Caucasoid baby. No blood tie. I mean, 50-50 probably blood, but there's that would be a different process you would have to go through the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors if that were a fact. Caucasoid man rapes indigenous melanated woman, the child is a bastard, and that's questionable, right? Now, it's not the child's fault that these crazy, devilic, satanic, ugly Caucasoids came over here and raped our women. That's not the woman's fault, and it's definitely not the child's fault. It's the evil Caucasoid's fault, right? It's the evil Caucasoid. So, and if you don't think those are facts, I would love for you to come on this show and debate me on rape and disease of all types that they brought over here, right? I'm raw with it. So I'm not going to hold back when I talk about this stuff because this is our ancestors. They died for us to be here today. You would not exist if your ancestors didn't survive. So they're talking about they wiped out this tribe, they wiped out that tribe. They didn't wipe out a damn thing. We still here. They didn't wipe out nothing. We are still here. I'm here. You hear my voice right now. I'm a descendant from my ancestors of Turtle Island, melanated people that fell victim to a social engineering, Caucasoid, devilic, satanic plan that is falling apart now. They didn't even want us to read books to find out who we were. Come on, homie. If you were so superior, even if we did read books, it wouldn't matter if you were superior, right? And their English language is all messed up. They don't even know how to spell words phonetically, homie. Don't even talk to me about superiority or this fake Cherokee nation. It should be destroyed, all right? So let's keep going on with the racist Caucasoid pretending to be an Indian.
Okay.
Our relationships with the United States are our relationships. Our treaties are our treaties.
I
Now,
totally.
if you want to run around with feathers on and call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, that's your business.
No, I totally get that. Hear what I'm saying? And again, I'm not here to debate. It's just strictly a conversation. And I'm glad we're having this because it's a conversation that needs to be had. Because once again, you said that life didn't originate in Africa. So why are you assuming that, based on what you're saying, it's safe to say that you're assuming that every so-called black person...
You asked me, did all life begin in Africa?
And you said no.
And I said no.
So my next question is, do you think that...
I asked you, I said, do you mean human beings?
So,
I said no.
This is the most appropriate question. Do you think that every so-called
people originated in Africa, Indian people originated in the Americas, white people originated in Europe, and Asian people originated in Asia.
But all right, so here's my question. Do you think that every so-called black person is from Africa?
No, because there are some in Fiji, there are some in Melanesia, there are some in India.
Okay.
They're all over the place.
So what you're saying, you were saying that
I'm talking about the black people in the United States.
So here's what you're saying.
Black people in the United States came over on slave trips from Africa.
So what you're saying is that they from everywhere else on the planet except none of them was in America before slavery.
Nope, some of them might have been. I don't know,
But come on, brother. Come on.
Evolved.
It's either they were or they are not. Because you see now you're being contradictory. Because if you're saying that so-called black people was on every other planet except America before the slave ship, you're saying that for some reason the sun didn't allow so-called black people to be in America before the slave trade. That alone in itself doesn't even make sense.
No, there were no black people here before Europeans got here because they brought you guys.
No, but guess what? Europeans didn't bring so-called dark-skinned people here. As a matter of fact, the first slaves on the American continent were Caucasians.
That's not even relevant.
No, it is relevant. It's absolutely relevant. It's absolutely relevant.
Okay. All right. So Chief Kalinago put the guy in the corner, right? He puts him in the corner and says, he asks, well, you think that all black people originated in Africa? He said, no, there's some in Fiji, Melanesia. He starts naming these different land masses. And then he says, okay, so you think we're from every other place except the Americas? And the guy says, no, because the Europeans brought you guys on slave ships. And Kalinago says, well, no, that's not true. We were here. So the first slaves were actually Caucasians. That's what he says. And then the guy he says, oh, well, that's not even relevant. That's what they do. Even the argument with the Jews and the Hebrew Israelites now, since these books came out a couple years ago called Hebrews to Negroes, that's what they say too. They say, oh, well, the original people were Moors. And they'll say, oh, well, that's not relevant. But it is relevant because you guys made it an issue when you tried to say the curse was on Ham, right? Why would a Jewish rabbi say that the curse is on Ham, and that's why black people have curly hair, big lips, and melanated? Why would that be a big deal? But when the truth comes out and you turn it around on them and say, no, we're the God's chosen people, you guys are cursed from Canaan, right? Ham's son, for looking at Noah's nakedness, his fourth son, Canaan, was cursed, right? So when it looks bad on the Caucasoid, it doesn't matter. But when it looks bad on the Negroid, it matters, right? If we turn it around on them, it's racist. If they turn it around on us, it's myth? I don't know. So all I know is that a lot of these Caucasoids can't prove who they are. So they refer to common tactics like, oh, that doesn't matter. Oh, we're all part of the human family. And we are. However, we're first, not human family, right? So, and then they want to be you, but then they'll say, you want to be them. Well, who are you? Prove who you are. Let's prove who you are first. If I want to be you, who are you? Oh, my ancestors came. So you're talking about Caucasoids came over here thousands of years ago? Are you talking about Asians? Who are we? What race of people are we talking about? And the more questions you ask them, the more of the truth is going to start to come out. Question everything, especially like me, if you were kind of forced into these Caucasoid schools where they don't teach you nothing about Indians, period. Or they don't teach you nothing that might give you Black History Month, which, it used to be called Negro Week. Then they made it Negro Month and now Black History Month. They'll give you a month for you to recognize yourself, and that's it. Going back to emulating the Caucasoid and joining churches, right? So at the end of the day, we gotta stop relying on them for our resources about who we are. Time to start asking your grandparents and start asking people in your family, though they may deny who they are, they could still tell you something. All right.
Who was a full-blood Cherokee Indian, was
Yes.
dark-skinned. And
Cherokee,
if she had permed her hair, she could have passed for a black person in North Tulsa, which is our black community here. So, yeah, there were dark-skinned people here, but not all dark-skinned people are black.
But guess what? In fact,
Did you hear what the Caucasoid did say? He said, not all dark-skinned people are black. Did you hear that? He said he's told the truth there, because I'm one of them. I'm not black, right? So he said not all dark-skinned people are black. And I think if Chief Kalinago could redo this interview, he should just take black out of his vocabulary. And I think he would have got a better cooperation out of these people, because when you say, oh, I'm a so-called black person, basically you're saying I'm a black person. I don't know what else to call myself. Just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Message to the Black Man book. He says the so-called black man, but he don't know what else to call you. Now, he know about Noble Drew Ali. He should have said more. But he chose not to go that route. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know what to call this guy. I really, because he doesn't really, I don't know. There's something fishy about him. But he did tell the truth right there. He said, not all dark-skinned people are black. Right? They don't identify themselves as black. You know, black is, I mean, there's believe it or not, there's Caucasoid people who are black. Believe it or not. South, okay, hold on. All right. I forgot my thought. My wife called, so I'm gonna have to cut that out. But let's continue to listen to this audio.
Nobody's black. Africans call themselves black. We didn't call ourselves black. We are brown skin. So I don't consider myself
you guys
black.
had your own names for each other. I know that because you had your own tribes and your own languages.
So now you are actually admitting that before slavery there were dark skinned people here.
There were American Indian here
I'm talking about in terms of complexion. There were dark skinned people here. We know we are American Indians, but they were dark skinned.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause it there. I know where I haven't seen this man, so I don't know what he looks like, but he sounds Caucasian to me. Yeah, he sounds Caucasian to me. Now, he's saying that Chief Kalinago is coming with this Negro stuff, right? Now, if he says, now the guy was saying, yeah, I know you guys have names for yourself. You got your own languages. He's actually respecting Chief Kalinago. He said, yeah, you guys got your own. And he didn't say nothing about Africa. He just said, your people do, right? He said, you guys, got your own names. And he was actually, but for some reason, this Negro, Chief Kalinago, is trying to get the guy to admit that there were dark. And the guy said, yeah, there's dark-skinned Indians, dark-skinned American Indians. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? He said there were dark-skinned Indians. We talking about black people from Africa. And by the definition of how the Caucasoid English Dictionary defines black, right? So let's look that up. That'll be interesting. I forgot this is a video feed this time. So let's look up. I'll type into Google the word black, right? Or we can go to Webster's Dictionary, black. That's what he talks about. Okay, of any human group having dark colored skin, especially African or Australian Aboriginal ancestry. Now, that is not what I would expect. Now, it does say African or Australian. Well, that's not a very good definition of black. Or it could be. See, this one, okay, in Webster's Dictionary, the last one I read was Oxford. Webster's dictionary. Now, Webster is an American English person, not from the motherland, his motherland of England, right? So the second definition here, the second sense of the word, 2A, of or relating to any of the various population groups, especially African ancestry, is often considered as having dark pigmentation of skin, but in fact having a wide range of colors. Okay, so that kind of doesn't make sense either, because see, I'm not even clear on what the definition of black is. But in fact having a wide range of colors. So they're including brown. So a lot of people could be black, not just people from African ancestry. That's what I'm getting from this definition, right? So when you talk about African ancestry, you're not dealing, no matter if you're talking about what they're labeling as the American Negro, it doesn't really matter. You could also be a Negro or black or colored. So all of those terms, they've kind of compiled into the word black now, right? Which they're changing the definition. They should have just left black an adjective, a color, right? What they've done, since they don't know their own language that well, they've made it complex. Now black means this. No. To me, I use black as an adjective, right? It's a color, right? Or it's describing something that's negative, right? And describe something that's negative. Characterized by the absence of light. Let's see. Old fashioned plus no, it ain't old fashioned. People still use black. Thoroughly sinister, evil, or wicked, right? Here goes the seventh sense of the word as a noun, right? I think thoroughly. Okay, no, these are adjectives. I'm sorry. Connected with or invoking the supernatural and especially the devil. 8A, very sad, gloomy, calamitous, right? 8B, marked by occurrence of disaster. 9, characterized by hostility or angry discontent. Well, I know some black people like that. 9B, distorted or darkened by anger. 10, having dark skin, hair, and eyes. The Black Irish. Okay. The Black Irish, having dark skin, hair, and eyes, but still the let's do they have the etymology of the word here? Because see, black as a noun. Because the etymology will give you the real meaning of the word. Because examples on the net. So okay, let me click see more. Okay. Okay. So now the word is kind of expand. They keep playing with it. But you're going to find out that black, the etymology of the word black is something negative. And that's why they took you from being Moor before the slave trade from Spain to the Americas. The word Moor was actually used. Then it was then they made the transition blackamoor, and then they took more away from you. Now you ask, why would they take more away? Because more made you the gods. The Moors are the ones who built civilization, not blacks. Blacks didn't build nothing. Blacks built for as slaves for someone else. Even other Moors, they built lands and excavated land, planted crops, and built buildings for other Moors. So that's why you might hear some indigenous people from Turtle Island, of the original, say that they don't like Moors, because they worked for Moors, right? So anyway, let's continue to play this.
No, you all are not American Indian. We are.
But
you
are
all
not
are black people from Africa.
Listen, man. I mean, I see the game that you're playing, and once again, I'm just saying that what the truth will come out to light, and the Creator, what I'm saying, will bring everything to light, and the truth will come out. Because the point I'm trying to make is, you telling me that every so-called black person, dark-skinned person, was on the continent except America, and now you are telling me, well, some of them was here. Either they were or they are not. But then you're talking about black. I never said I was black. Black is a color that's really black. I'm not black. I'm brown. You see what I'm saying?
You're African.
So you're telling me I'm African, but you don't even know who I am, right?
I know what you've told me, and
no, what I told you was.
Now his Caucasoidness is coming out, right? He's no, we're American Indian. You guys are black from Africa, but he can't speak for every Indian. He can only speak from the Caucasoid Cherokee Nation, who are not even from this land, right? So this racism or this prejudice that he's showing is pretty bad, pretty bad looking on this Cherokee Nation. Which, I mean, you could say they're a nation or say they're not a nation. I really don't even look at them like a nation. I look at them more as a Caucasoid welfare state that are trying to lick the United States' nuts for money, right? So but the Caucasoid cannot prove he's even from here, right? Yeah, we could all say our ancestors came from here, but let's look at the science. Let's look at the facts. He said no facts. The DAWES roll it's an unnatural way of proving that you're from this land. You never hear anybody around the world say, because the foreign government came over here and put us on some piece of paper, we must be from here. It's ridiculous. So I understand what KALINGO is doing, man. Let's keep playing this.
No, what I said was my ancestors have been on this landmass from time immemorial. Not at one point I said I was African, but you assume that I'm African.
No, you told me that.
No, I never said that. I asked you, do you think that all dark-skinned people are from Africa?
all this line of stuff that you're telling me, we hear it all the time.
Okay, so I'm lying.
People with your views call us probably about once a month, and
no. I'm calling, and like I said, that's why I said, I'm calling because it's for the record, because we have to make sure that again we get to the bottom of this, because I know I realize that. Mm-hmm. There are so many different cultures that's here usurping, our identity. And then when we approach them, they tend to, again, evade the question and deal with it from more of an organizational perspective. Okay, well, you know what? This is what the United States said. We are the Indians. Oh, no, it's not what they say. It's what is. You know what I'm saying? But I totally get where you're coming from. It's an organizational thing. You don't have to be an Indian by blood to be part of the Cherokee, because the United States, hey, you know what? They're foreigners. They came here. They fought over, my ancestors. And when I say my ancestors, I'm talking about the dark-skinned people who was on this continent before even you guys came. And they had to put somebody in our place. And I guess it happened that way. But the truth will come out. That's all I'm just saying. And again, I appreciate your time. Thank you. You gave a lot of insight. And I got what I was looking for. So I appreciate that. And again, time will tell. Time will tell. All will come to light. So I hope you have a great day. And look out for us, because we are coming. All right?
Got our eyes open.
All right. Take care, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting conversation there. I found it fascinating. The protocol that these Caucasians are using when someone like Chief KALINGO calls in. It's very interesting. And it's the only fact that we could really take from this is that whatever is on the DAWES roll. Whoever signed these DAWES roll, that's what they considered citizens. Now they try to mix it up and talk about blood too, but 1/32 blood, that's nothing. Even 3/30, that's nothing. That's you have 3/32 blood. What's the other 29th 32nd? Caucasian? Then you're a Caucasian. By blood, you're a Caucasian. By natural nature, you are a Caucasian. So that was very interesting, man. When I saw this video last night before I went to sleep, um, I was pretty excited. I knew I was going to do a show on this today. So peace to Chief Kalinago for doing this. And I might have said some commentary that might not have been fair to him, but I appreciate him recording this and putting it on the record, of what these, I guess, I'm just going to call them Caucasian, the Caucasian Cherokee Nation, and how they're, how the whole process is just not legitimate. It's not a legitimate process. Anybody, Stevie Wonder could see that. So that's cool. We see how they do play word games with race, tribe, and all that, and that's pretty easy to rip apart. That's anybody who's remotely educated in this area. That's pretty easy to see. You know what I mean? So there's a couple of books I would like to share. All right. So I had to switch to presentation mode. I wanted to show you guys this book, right? It's called Asian Slaves in Colonial Mexico. And you see what it says below that, from Chinos to Indians. All right. This is what they don't want to talk about. This is what they don't want to talk about, right? And I had another book here. Oh, yes, that I've been actually doing a couple shows on. It's called The First Americans Were Africans, right? This book right here will take you back at least 60,000 years. And it's all science. None of this, we don't do blood quantum, and because they know if they did blood quantum, they would be out, right? They would be out. And here's another, I want to start doing shows on the Asians. These Asians, I don't know if they share the same sentiment as these wannabe Caucasoid Indians, but I've heard a couple interviews with these people too. They don't want to break bread, especially the Asian Seminoles. And I call them Asian Seminoles because that's what they are. They're not the original. They're Asian slaves that they made into the white man, just pushed them out there and presented them as if they were the original people, right? Which is not true. You can now the guy on the phone with the Cherokee Nation can't say this is not true, right? Especially when they don't even read the book. They just immediately dismiss it, which shows that they're retarded. Right? It shows that they're not academic and they cannot prove who they are. It pretty much shows they're retarded, right? Because if someone came to me and said, "Oh, you're from Africa," I wouldn't get mad. I'm like, "Well, that's what you've learned about me. But let me tell you about me," right? I don't have a problem with that. I really don't have a problem with that. Everybody's going to have their assumptions because everybody went to these schools, these compulsory schools, where they teach about Greece and Rome and England, and they don't teach you nothing about indigenous people, right? So, I mean, that's a problem, right? That's definitely a problem. And so conversations like this, we get to know what the enemy is thinking, because I do consider these people the enemy, right? Saying all dark-skinned people around the world except America. Oh, isn't that advantageous for you to say that? You know what I mean? That's very advantageous for you to say, oh, except here, that's us, that we got this. But how could you try to claim the whole country? I thought you were just the Cherokee Nation, but it seemed like you're trying to speak for everybody on this land. when you're the last person to come here. No legitimacy in that. So that's all I'm trying to say is this Caucasoid nation is not really real. Why are you begging to be part of it? Are you begging for benefits? Is it what these black people are begging for? Are they begging for benefits? I don't know. I'd have to show another video on, and the word Indian, let's go into this. I found a little article. It's called Pedro Nino, Navigator Born. Now, this is the calling Pedro de Moor or Pedro de Moreno, Pedro de Moor, or Pedro de Negro. I say de Moor because it's a lot more respectful. All right. So let me read this, and I want you guys to be able to see what I'm reading. All right. So here goes a picture of him right here. The birth of Pedro Nino is celebrated on this date, 1455. He was a black Spanish navigator and explorer. He was a Moorish navigator and explorer, right? Because he was alive when the Moors lost control in 1492. He was there. He witnessed the whole thing. He was 37 years old when that happened. So he had much knowledge. So he was a black Moorish navigator and explorer. Pedro Alonso Nino was born in Muguer, Spain. He was of mixed heritage of African and Spaniard. Well, I don't know what that means. Spaniard, that's not a race of people. That's a country. And African is a continent. So maybe he mixed in with a mulatto and a Moor? A Moor and a mulatto? Is that what they're saying? I don't know. But I could look at the picture and tell he's a full-blooded Moor. So even if it was Spaniard, it was a Spanish Moor, Moreno and Morena. So, see, they don't even know how to use words in English. It's probably better to read this in Spanish. He was known as El Negro, and his father was one of the sailors captured from Elmina. According to the history of Elmina, it was the first African city to trade with the Europeans. He was known as El Negro. He explored the west coast of Africa in his early years. He piloted the Santa Maria during Christopher Columbus' first voyage to the Americas in 1492 and accompanied him on his third voyage in 1498 to Trinidad and the mouths of the Orinoco River. After returning to Spain, Nino made preparations to explore the Indies independently, looking for gold and pearls. Empowered by the Council of Castile to seek out new countries, avoiding these already found by Columbus, he committed to give 20% of his profits to the Spanish crown. In the company of brothers Luis and Cristobal de la Guerra, respectively a rich merchant and a pilot, he left San Lucas in May 1499, and after 23 days they arrived in Maracapana. Visiting the islands of Isla Margarita, Coche, and Cubagua, they exchanged objects of little value for large numbers of pearls before sailing up to the coast of Punta Araya. They discovered salt mines. After just 2 months, they were back in Bayona, Spain, stocked with wealth. However, they were accused of cheating King Ferdinand II out of his portion of the spoils. Arrested with his property confiscated, Nino died before the conclusion of his trial. Pedro Alonso Nino died around 1505. There is a monument to Pedro Alonso Nino in the Convent of San Francisco in Muguer, Spain. In 1930, Nino was honored with one of the 33 dioramas at the American Negro Exposition in Chicago. So that's a little wrap up on Peter de Negro. You hear Peter de Negro or Peter. I didn't know his name was Pedro Nino. Well, Nino just means little child. So was that really his last name? They mentioned it. Pedro Alonso Niño, which means little boy. I don't like that. I don't like that they're calling a Moor a little boy. So I don't know how legitimate that is. I'd have to look at the original records. But again, that would put away the Caucasoids argument that's saying all black people are from Africa. Well, this guy came from Spain, right? Well, anyway, I think we'll conclude the video here. If you joined the show, I'm glad you joined the show. If you're a Niji from Turtle Island and you know that you're of the originals and your family says so, I mean, their family say so too. So, but now we got to start looking at scientific evidence, and that's where they have no claim. So definitely question everything, research, and do diligence with your research, because that's how you're going to find out who you are. Not listening to Caucasoids or going to Caucasoid schools. Those are for Caucasoids, right? I went to one. I was forced to go to one, but I've re-educated myself when I got older, because I knew what they were telling me was just not true. You know, in seventh grade or in eighth grade, we had to write a paper, you know what I mean, at Suzanne Middle School in Walnut, California, about some movie we watched, and I wrote about, you know, how the black man can do anything that the white man can do, even better. My dad told me I couldn't write that. I said, why? They asked what you want to write about. This is what I'm writing about. He said, oh, no, you need to rewrite this paper. You know what I mean? So, been going against that stuff all my life, and now that a lot of people have awakened to who they are because they did research too, that's a beautiful thing, man. So now when you hear somebody talk like that, you understand where the devil's coming from. You know, the devil's real. People think, you know, only think God's real. Well, the devil's real too, man. The devil got tricks and plots, and you know, Shaitan's a planner, but Allah is the best of planners. So again, thank you for watching the show. If you're interested in citizenship, be sure to fill out a 19-1. You can get that from www.unnm.com. Again, that's unnm.com. Our phone number is 855-849-1799. And Wadu.